Okay, so you're going to want to make sure you have a blank OneNote open or you have some scratch paper. So yesterday in class, we went through Gaussian's elimination where we really didn't care about our leading entries being 1 or not because it worked. Today, we're going to actually apply the row echelon form, making it so our leading terms are all going to be 1, as well as the values underneath the leading terms will still remain 0. So we're adding an extra step to what we did on yesterday. So first, I'm going to go ahead and write this in augmented matrix form. So I get 4, 8, negative 4, 4, 3, 8, 5, negative 11, and negative 2, 1, 12, negative 17. So I'm going to highlight the things in yellow to be the values that I want to make 0. And I'm going to highlight in green the values that I want to make 1. So I'm going to start here with the value of 4, and I'm going to try to make sure that I change that one to 1. So I'm going to start with the green one, changing it to 1. So the first thing that I need to do is to go ahead and take this and multiply row 1 by a 4th. So by doing that, that makes sure that I can make this value 1. So if I rewrite this, if I multiply this first term by a 4th, I get 1. Then if I multiply the next one, I get 2, negative 1, 1. Everything else below that stays the same. So that allows me to get rid of the first value of 4. I'm going to go ahead and still keep highlighting everything that needs to be changed. This will be highlighted yellow. Let's undo that. So we'll highlight this one yellow, yellow, yellow. This is green, and this is green. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work straight down, choosing 3. If I choose 3 and notice that I need to get rid of 3 and negative 2, I'm going to go ahead and possibly combine row 2. And I'm going to subtract row 2 from row 1 so I can get row 2. However, I need to multiply row 1 by 3. So ultimately, here we have row 2 minus 3R1, which will give us row 2. Or you could also add those two and get multiplied by negative 3. So if I do that, the first row is going to give me, okay, so let's do some work off to the side here. So if we have row 2 minus 3R1, and that's going to equal R2, I get the value set up of negative 3, negative 6, 3, negative 3, and then adding that to 3, 8, 5, and negative 7. So by adding these together, I get 0, 2, 8, and negative 13, which represents R2. So my row 2 should be 0, 2, 8, negative 13. And then the last one would be the same for row 3, which is negative 2, 1, 12, and negative 17. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight these values that I need that are in yellow will be the ones that need to be 0. And then I'm going to highlight in green those values that need to be 1. So if I look at the next one, I want to go ahead and get rid of this negative 2. I'm just working my way straight down. Remember, this yellow represents 0. So I want to make row 3 to be 0 at this value of negative 2, which means I'm going to go ahead and do 2 times row 1 plus row 3, and that's going to give me a new row 3. So again, you can do all the math behind that. If I do that, my value for row 1 should be the same, 1, 2, negative 1, and 1. And then row 2 should be 0, 2, 8, and negative 13. And then row 3 is the one that will change, which will be 0, 5, 10, and negative 15. So I'm going to go ahead again and highlight everything. So the values in yellow are going to be the value I need to change to 0. The values in green are those values I need to change to 1s. Okay, so I'm going to look at the next column here. The first thing I need to get rid of is this 2. I need to take 2 out of 1. I'm going to go ahead and multiply row 2 by a half. That will help me get rid of this value and make it 1. So if I do that, bring this down here. The first row stays the same as 1, 2, negative 1, 1. The second row now becomes 0, 1, 4, negative 7. And my last row stays the same, which is going to be 0, 5, 10, negative 15. I'll go ahead again and highlight everything. Remember that in yellow, when I want to change to 0. That in green is what I want to change to a 1. All right, so let's look at changing 5 here. For the value of 5, we're going to go ahead and change this. If I can get this pen to work. So we'll change this one by doing, we'll go ahead and take, we'll do negative 5 times row 2 plus row 3, and that should give us row 3. Once you go ahead and take the math to that, row 1 doesn't change. You get 1, 2, negative 1, 1. Row 2 doesn't change. You get 0, 1, 4, negative 7. However, row 3 will change to 0, 0, negative 10, and 20. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight what needs to be changed still. Negative 10, remember we want it to be a 1, so I'm going to highlight that as green. And in order to change this negative 10 into a positive 1, I'm going to go ahead and multiply negative 1 over 10 by R3. And if I do that, I get the value 1, 2, negative 1, 1. For row 1, row 2 is going to be 0, 1, 4, and negative 7. And then row 3 will be 0, 0, 1, negative 2. So if you look at this, we have satisfied everything, being that we have all values of 1 for our row echelon form. So there's 1 right here. All of our 1s are in row echelon form. And then all of the values below it are 0. So now if we want to go ahead and solve this equation, we set it up by making sure we have x plus 2y minus 1 equals 1, as well as we have y plus 4, that should be a z, 4z equals negative 7. And the last one is just z equals negative 2. Sorry, my pen is not working. So these are how you would go ahead and set up your row echelon form. So if something asks you to find row echelon form or put something in row echelon form, you would leave your answer as just this portion right here. This is in row echelon form.